This is Omar Nashashibi from Washington D.C. with an update on what is shaping up to be a very busy month of May for trade here in town. We have congressional hearings on China and supply chains, the U.S. Trade Representative testifying on Capitol Hill, hearings on digital service taxes and tariffs, and increasing pressure on the Biden administration regarding the Section 232 and the 301 tariffs. We are hearing Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York has said he will schedule a Senate floor vote by the end of May on his bipartisan Endless Frontiers Act legislation targeting China, U.S. R&D, and supply chain competitiveness. If it passes the Senate, as many of us expect, it may be one of the few bipartisan bills to pass the upper chamber this year. However, we are beginning to hear concerns raised over on the House chamber by Republicans, but that might really matter much since Democrats have enough votes if all of them vote in favor to move something through the U.S. House of Representatives. In both chambers this week, the U.S. Trade Representative Katherine Tai testified on the White House trade agenda. In response to a question during the Senate hearing on the Section 232 steel and aluminum tariffs, Ambassador Tai agreed it was time to update tools of U.S. trade laws drafted 60 years ago, as is the case with the Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962. Even the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee said that not a day goes by when another senator does not ask him about when they're going to reform that Section 232. The Biden administration is coming under increasing pressure to remove those 25%, 10 and 10% tariffs on steel and aluminum on our national security allies. Ambassador Tai did testify that she is encouraged by the U.S., U.K., and EU dialogues, though she does believe that they primarily need to address overcapacity issues in China, particularly as it relates to steel, prior to a broader agreement on Section 232. But she did say that progress is being made. The EU, India, and others have imposed retaliatory tariffs on certain U.S. exports that are also causing challenges for U.S. manufacturers and distributors directly related to those Section 232 tariffs imposed by the previous administration on steel and aluminum. A bipartisan group of 18 senators are asking the Biden administration to work and remove the harmful retaliatory tariffs on distilled spirits and wine scheduled to double on January 1st, which is a major pressure point in a lot of constituencies around the country. Regarding a separate set of tariffs also imposed on U.S. exports and European imports, the USTR also said that the U.S. and EU are making progress on talks to resolve the Boeing-Airbus dispute that has caused both sides of the Atlantic to impose billions of dollars worth of tariffs on imported goods. Recently, 3 Democratic senators from wine-producing states wrote to USTR that many wineries in their states will not survive if retaliatory tariffs on wine are not permanently eliminated, and this is all due to a past multi-decades-long conflict. On the China front, we are still hearing that the Biden administration is continuing its review of the previous administration's policies to counter Beijing both here in the U.S. and with our trade and national security allies abroad. USTR, Commerce, and the White House are still undergoing through their internal process, but we are increasingly hearing they may issue some kind of a call for public input down the line on China policy, including maybe a Federal Register notice. There is no question pressure continues to mount on USTR to open a process for importers in the U.S. to request an exclusion from the Section 301 tariffs. But on the general trade front, we are hearing virtually no discussion here in Washington about the chances of passing trade promotion authority prior to TPA's expiration on July 1st. Speaking of U.S. trade agreements, lastly, the new NAFTA, the USMCA, is receiving considerable attention here these days on all sides and all parts of the borders. USTR requested that the Mexican government review allegations that worker rights were denied in a union vote at a General Motors truck plant in Mexico under the USMCA's rapid response labor enforcement provisions. USTR and Labor apparently received on their hotline created by the UMCA implementing legislation a tip from an individual that plant in Mexico is violating the agreement. Meanwhile, the global trade ministers are continuing talks ahead of the G7 June meetings and the OECD deadlines on digital services taxes. We will keep you posted from here in Washington on what is going to be a very busy few weeks on trade policy. As you can see, we covered quite a bit in just a few minutes, and there's going to be more to come over the next few weeks.